spin cycle. Still let the straight razor pin strike you. Still let the straight razor pin strike you. I know let off at the chaplain. Strap, drunk, still weaving through traffic. Still put a nigga in a casket. Still dodging questions like I'm baffled. Sick of backseat ball bearers. Gun on my lap like them kids at the mall center. Index still got no manners. Bitch. Ain't a nigga breathing, didn't know I didn't like him. Screw face looking like I swam through the spin cycle. Still let the straight razor pin strike me. Still let the straight razor pin strike me. Had to let off in the chaplain. Strap, truck, still weaving through traffic. Still put a nigga in a casket. Still dodging questions like I'm baffled. Sick of backseat ball bearers. Nigga breathing sick, no I didn't like it. Screw face looking like I swam through the spin cycle. Hey yo bitch wanna be me. I dream of death, not a genies who grant wishes. Fuck them bowels and scrapers in them forehead kisses. Fuck them, watch your watch me fuck them. Gorgons or witches, last thing I won't forgive this bitch. Think the ditch is deeper. Blaze behind me flying demons, feathers only tickle Caesar. You couldn't wait to tell the masses about your misdemeanors. Better wear masks, sunglasses, don't look at me cookie. Fuck them barbers and put it, my niggas barking, what's good? Robin Hood took from the rent, you giggling. Robin Hood. We don't need the trees and we ain't speaking, nigga. I'm Eve's Apple Store eating, we're equal, nigga. The devil in the mindset. He in the grounds already, ain't no time to rewind it. Fuck them backseat ball bearers. I hope you praying for my death if you a God-bearer. You was talking all kind of shit. Where you at, nigga? Don't get it fucked up. You can still get knocked out for free. From the words of my own mouth, I'm that nigga bitch, but what you talking about? The earth thirsts for your ashes. What's the camera flash to the black that the waves high? What's the star shine to the daylight? What's a legacy to a mate fly? Huh, bitch? The B-sides tell you that there's no escape, mate. The gates open, my birth wasn't opening. Into the time to the open lights, nigga. I'll just respect here. All fucking facts, nigga. Mouth full of locusts, gun full of blast wheel. All go to heaven, so my throws on the tag, nigga. Bones on the cross and the balls on the map, nigga. Thrown on the mattress, but name in a big sky. You know better than the hands. Where the witch at? We watch while he gang, no mask, they stand on his neck, no head. Fuck do you mean when you call me an heathen? You don't fear God either. That's why you fear me. Like as a heart of your TV preachers. When church couldn't drown me, run to the top like the hundreds of roaches. You run my kid with a devil and sulfur. Cast on the flames and a stain on my feet, though. Every true life is worthless. This way your corpse and the words make you run with the hurt. No, they ain't no searches. No paper, no hearses. No king and no churches. Up your face and your shit, you were aim for the circus. Pray to the king with your face in the dirt. ACAB with your name on a shirt. You still in the careless, expecting the difference. It's not motivation, all I feel is the sticks in my flesh. I was a stallion, but they beat me to death. You see I'm a threat. Fuck do you mean when you call me a heathen? You don't fear God either. That's why you fear me. Like you go hard in your demon preachers. The way church couldn't drown me out. Look to the top like the brothers of motion do. Like my kid with a devil is sulfur. Gas on the flame. Gas on the flames on the stain of my feet though. Beating your sheep but your wife couldn't keep though. I guess it wasn't that deep. You're a big dope fuck. I ain't running from it. I'm looking for it. Everything they owe. Everything I owe me, I'm coming for. Strike like now, strike like the lightning. Hey, what the thunder for? Fuck the rumors you heard. Fuck all the rumors you heard. I keep my thumb on a Ruger. My brother, my keeper, my mother, my shooter. Let me look at my head. This is Brutus and Judas. I've been fucking with Janus. I just come on proof. How you taking the careless, expecting the difference. It's not motivation, all I'm pulling the bullets in my foot. I was shot, but they shot through my gut. No longer a threat. Noose on my neck. Death on my chest. You was getting curbside takeout for the Chinese. Who was getting curbside takeout for the police? No, I'm not me. Shit got dicey. People shit like my hand and slice them. Heard black olives only light them. Black old laws, betrayers, fusions. Few more Virgils to play stooges. And black presidents to play Judas. Small business at a flavor. All purpose shooters. Bullets for the face. Tear gas for the uterus. Flames on. Bad apples. Hooligan. Stab him in the ribs. Nah, fuck that. One swipe. Slit his wind. Like a bus. Yeah. We watch them die. No flash. Big stand on his neck. No edge. Eating jackship with shackles and curved stars. No blood. RVD circumstance. No second chances. Fuck up. Alright, next. This next one's called Heroin. Peace be to me. Vultures hang on every word of my testimony. And every hegemony need a scapegoat. Like you black fetishizers need Rachel. We crabs in a gladiator pit. Cocktails of malice and cockroach men slip back to 3/5 with every encroachment. Fuck George Washington and fuck Mike Pence. Nigga, we sing it. Spend people out here though. I can fuck your girl in these hills. Feeling too. All that shit you feel won't stop feeling though. Don't forget the balls, baby. I like to be ever flow. See evil. Spend evil out here though. I can stop you out in these hills. Feeling too. Jailhouse close, see you feel low. Cause you're gonna body like a week ago. I'm a piece street and get mad done with a pot of bitch. Need itchy players, need a pretty pot of bitch. Like that dog flowing in my sarcophagus. Go back, I ain't need a bird, the body's always going. Never right beside me, torture anybody, they all face. I keep pimping the haters off of us. I keep pimping the haters off of us. I keep pimping the haters off of us. This thing lands on his head and just save it for my retirement. Just got that one new jealousy, the title switch. Free call for my DNA, simple that entitlement. And you living with cold lightning. Shooting 6-7, right out the vomit. You ain't got no touch of your shit, you can't buy with it. Look up at the sky, you can see the demons I'm flying with. Man, pussy, you can die with it.
That is Frederik's Dead. We'll be having an interview with them in just a moment. All right, I'm here with Frederik's Dead. I'm here with the guitarist Justin and lead singer Swan. First question that I have, for either of you, is Frederik's Dead. That's an apostrophe on the S, right? Is Frederik is dead, or the dead that Frederik has?
The answer is all of the above. I'm from a town in St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands called Frederiksted. And it's kind of like the poor, blacker half of the island because there's a lot of people that grew up there, and it's like indigenous people, and then there's the rich retirees that want a Caribbean vacation. move in, buy up the land, that sort of thing. So I thought it was interesting to like just flip the title of the name, which would be a possessive. It's like an old Danish colony, so Fredrikstad, Frederickstown, King Frederick. And so yeah, Frederick's dead. And then Frederick is Dead was the leaning for our first album, which we called By the Grace of the Butcher. And so I thought it would be interesting to have Frederick is Dead because of this dictator figure, sort of thing.
No, that was it. It was fun to do that concept album, like to start out with. And now it's cool to do, like, would you still call like Let the World Die like a concept album, but just of a different kind of nature?
Yeah, I would call it concept album. Like conceptually, for our first album, the idea was to make an album about a dictator figure, or like this sort of awful person in power that is spoken about in a way that's timeless. And so I made sure to like not include any time signifiers of who I was talking about or what political situation I was referencing necessarily, so that it could be medieval, it could be modern. And our newest album, Let the World Die, is more about like letting all of the parts of the world that need to die, and keeping what you need, letting the parts of yourself that need to go die. And it came from this quote that Justin found, which was, the world has the right to die for the salvation of the earth. And I thought that was amazing. And we took it so many different ways, and like it was a time of personal growth for all of us, I think. And,
Living in this music is really profound. On the level of like personal transformation, this music has been with me personally through a lot of stuff over the past year and a half. I think this like some of our oldest songs that are on this album are almost 2 years old. But they've been lived in over the course of these 2 years, and it's made it really, like, playing it is just like, not only is it almost like second nature to play all these songs, but it's just like I don't know, it's really profound. I don't really have a whole lot of words for it. The album is not even out yet. So the album is probably going to come out, you said early 2023? Yeah, so we have it all recorded and everything and mastered, so we're just like waiting to put it out at the right time. And also to do a tour to support it, because this is our first actual tour, which is dope. Like, we did Philly last night, and now we're here, and then we're going to Providence tomorrow, and then playing Providence again on Tuesday. And then we would really love to play just like all over not only the country, but the world. Yeah, he's going to Europe in a little while, so we're trying to come over there and do some shows in France and shit, because it's just dope. And I feel like people just need to hear this music.
That's great. Yeah, I want to stress that the music that's being played right now, a lot of it is unreleased. I believe Heroin is an unreleased track, which is what you just played. Right?
Yeah, and that's the title track on the album. Like, that's, well, not the title track, the first track.
Sure. All right, so we're going to get back to the music in just a second, but I wanted to ask something. So you said, Swan, about like timelessness. And, you know, when I listen to your lyrics, something like Iscariot maybe or anything, there's a sense of darkness and desperation, a sense of pain and violence, and then also maybe some sort of like dominance. You know, your lyrics are very much dominant over whoever you're talking about, right? And I'm interested, you know, there's been so many kinds of music that have done those same emotions. You know, there's the blues, there's country, there's rock and roll, there's really every sort of music in America has evoked those emotions. But what drew you to this sound? What drew you to metal to sort of pass on that message?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, specifically because, like, if we had to define ourselves as a genre, like, we don't like to, but generally the closest thing we can come up with is experimental metal. And I think, for me, I felt like the realm of human expression and emotional expression particularly, you can do whatever you want with vocals, and I felt that my emotions and my thoughts, like, rapping wouldn't cover it, singing wouldn't cover it, screaming doesn't always cover it, and so I felt like I had to do literally anything I could. Like on one of our tracks on this upcoming album, Let the Sun Speak, I was just humming, and that was what I felt really captured what I was trying to get across. And so metal, I think, is characterized as like all heavy and like screaming, and it's not necessarily that, but this band specifically, like the instrumentation and having so much live music and opportunity for improvisation and everything being a collaborative process that we all sort of agree on, I think that is what drew me to this form of expression. Because like I do rap as well, with solo projects, but for capturing the full realm of my expression, I think this is the truest form of that.
One last word for today. Questions and witnesses. not holding a whip. Tell me my life matters from the shackles on the ship. Your ribs broke, groaning and you gagging on my piss. Bootlicker, make you clean your vomit from this shit. Tell me I need to be peaceful when they auctioning my kids. You hate me and my people, that's as honest as it gets. Fuck you and your family, what I'm carving in the conscience of a pig. We man-made monsters in a brig. Feeding from the hollow in his ribs. Crow nose follow when you swallowing the kids. Suckle on the hollows from the sig. Hot coals following the sig. Digest that. Soul following the bed. Stretch that. Know the Jew is caught from the tit. There's scout trophy, got the quote. Model in the wig. My neck is cashmere. Made a black rubber, my bones on my beers. Joey on my suffering, covered like black beard. Revenge of the queen, covered in dry tears. Belly and blind fears, covered in black feathers. Black guys shine like Eddie Best my levels. Black guys to black, out of the night devil. Roasting to the night venom, bringing the night vessel. Voices on my weapons, vision of night mother. Within the night master, night walk to they stalkers and night towers. Feeling the wilderness, people no right error. So I time travel, mentally try as you. Get a night to my buddy, bang, like days that can stop me. Black in my head, making nauseous. What a night to a bitch fight in a wise split. Little white days couldn't stop shit. A rich name shit black. She ain't my voice, you will never be so bitch black. $35 in a six pack. There's one of motherfucking walls with no bitch out. My voice, you will never get your bitch back. There's one of motherfucking walls with no bitch out. They say player couldn't stop it. Clock in my head, making noises. What a night to a bitch fight in a mosh pit. Blood on my face, couldn't stop shit. And fuck you soon. I wish I had copped that. That was a noise now. Let me start doing that. Cause I don't think we can shoot. To the clock, don't touch. There was suicide risk. All kill something. Money paying like days, they can stop it. Clock in my head, making noises. What a night to a bitch fight in a mosh pit. Blood on my face, couldn't stop shit. Decapitate that motherfucker, swung for the fences. One break, turn to 2-6, turn to 4 hits. Say you want a 10-day bender with a knife in your liver. And skies throwing faces that your mind can't remember. In your mind's eye, nigga, all the lies I deliver. Your whole family working in our minds ain't no winner. The end to the ride is your time, my nigga. Plug to your senses. Repeat, patrons ain't no more sinners. I got no regard for life. Cause I see what the stars really like. The planet from the outside, head on a spike. Escape from mediocrity, your life is the price. Escape from mediocrity, your life is the price. You worry about your time when it feels in your eyes. I'm on your right, right on, right's right. Feel sacrifice when the time feels right. I could the gossip niggas, I'm a hard nigga. Say where you from, brother. Hope you ain't lost, nigga. It's my ride, I ain't worried about the cause. Got your weight on my waist and my sights on the wall. Yeah, just the when it's 20 outside. The blade in my hair, your light on the line. Minutes in the air, it's my little tear. I'll never do the time, it won't take me alive. It in my eye. With a motherfucking sign. Got the rib cage splitter. You can't ass niggas. One hand on the throat, other hand on the scissors. And the wheels keep turning. I guess I'm not what you figured. Outside, Mr. Play in my hand, ain't no life on the line. Yeah, Justin Winners 20 outside, Mr. Play in my hand, ain't no life on the line. Yeah, Justin Winners 20 outside, Mr. Play in my hand, ain't no life on the line. Yeah, Justin Winners 20 outside, Mr. Play in my head, ain't no life on the line. Ain't no life on the line. I'm a right in the cheek, he's still on the ground, he just got on his feet. I keep a roll cause the gears on my sleeve. Life for my blow, no rest, no weak, and ain't let you sit. Branches, quickly, the drink is like Britney. Simple, now they asking God to forgive him. Did he? I ain't fish and they mix me. And you disgusting, I'm afraid to admit. Your bites and brushes, lies to your face, always have been a judgment. Forget your voice, doesn't matter, who nothing. Make for the shores, or neutral down court. Doors are locked, watching our exit. Glasses, you gotta learn practice. Look like you better get a sip from the alcohol like you a fool. I took a reaction. I didn't try to see a sip from the reaction. After the chair, they were gonna get a sip. Reaction, everybody think. Into the back. Let those ones that be raised. Double A, they're gonna wait for you marked out double A. It's when the devil to that shit. Who knows who you feel for the bathroom? All to bitch on. Who's into them? Who's gonna make them? I can't make it. Celebrate with matches in a bottle of gin. Even like the bookers in the season is swing. Every season the trees in this wind. You can't repair, you see the trash, your teeth on the grid. No more chalk house, we elevated. Past surveillance, let it marked out before speaking. No season's greetings, no need for courtesy or common decency. Did it enter, then you see the collection of cleavers. Leave it to me, and he found Wallace we keep him. Sniffing like he caught a cold, his nose is like a blink of no involvement. First sign of danger, he calling out that big fucking truck like the plug was at the market. This little piggy got exactly what he asked for.
Justin and Langston, guitarist and bassist of Frederik's Dead. They just played. What was the song you just played for us?
Chungus.
That's a meme.
Patron saint of all sinners.
Chungus.
You guys, I mean, go off topic for a second here. A lot of your songs are like biblical, or like New Testament stuff. Is there something behind that? I mean, Iscariot. I'm just really thinking of Iscariot, and
His parents are Catholic workers.
there you go. The drummer's parents, Catholic workers.
Practiced in their house for like 5 years, so.
How did they feel about practicing heavy metal?
Bro, they fuck with us. Bro, for real. They fuck with us very heavily. I cannot tell you how many times Martin's dad and Martin's mom and Martin's grandma, Mimi, has come in the room, and Mimi's like, she's just like a little woman. Like, she's like, how old is Mimi? Like in her 80s? She literally comes in, she's like, you guys sound good. And then we're just like, shit's fire.
That's so no complaints. Only moshing.
Martin's dad is like, you guys sound good today. And we're just like, yeah, thanks. But no, they like it. Like, it's cool. Martin's parents have been very supportive and very instrumental to our journey as musicians, for real. Because literally we've been, like, I've been playing with Martin since I was 14, right? 15, 14? Before this band started, me and Martin were in 2 bands. And so I've been playing in Martin's house for like Yeah, man. 8 or 9 years.
So is that the main place you guys would practice? Was it your place? Nice. What was that initial conversation like about? I'm gonna be bringing a heavy metal band to practice.
I mean, they're pretty accepting people of the arts, so they were all for it, and they've known Justin forever, and Langston, and S1 through means.
Nice. Okay, so I'm very interested. We're in the studio here, and what we see are a bunch of like panels of guitar pedals. And I think a distinctive part of Frederik's Dead's sound is the really thick, layered distortion and reverb that's going on. So, I don't know. I mean, for fans who might be hearing the guitar through KCR's broadcast right now, I mean, what do you do to achieve this sound that you have through, like, technique and?
How specific do you want me to be?
I'd say as specific as someone who doesn't know anything.
Okay. So basically, it's layers of distortion. So I have technically 3 pedals that give me gain, and gain, for anyone that doesn't know what that is basically just like saturation. That's the best way to easily say it. It's like volume is loudness, gain is like intensity, more so, if I could break it down like that. And so I have a pedal that's always on that gives me just like a blanket level of saturation and warmness. And then when I basically have my pedals so that the stack, like it's called gain staging for like heads that know what gain staging is. But for regular people that I guess don't know what that is, it's basically like, just imagine stacking distorted sounds on top of each other and achieving like a layered thickness. And so before I even get to modulation and reverb, because I don't play with any reverb on my amp anymore because it's just too much on that Fender. And I really don't like how that Fender sounds, but I'm making it sound the best that I can before I start dropping $2,000, $3,000 on a Mad amp or a Green amp or something. That's what I really want. But basically I have a always on pedal. It's called a preamp pedal. Just gives me some preamp gain and saturation into a fuzz pedal that has an EQ on it, into an overdrive pedal that's basically like a clone of like an old Marshall Plexi, into a wah pedal, into a tuner, into a digital reverb pedal, into a multi-effects like modulation pedal, into a TC Electronic, basically a delay that has a bunch of different delay presets on it. I pretty much use most of the same presets for all the songs. It's more so I just change how I'm playing, and I might change very slightly certain settings or which settings I have combined at a certain point, because I have so many options that sometimes it's like doesn't really make sense for me to be switching between a bunch of shit on songs. And I don't have the most expensive pedals that can save presets. Like there's like $300, $400 pedals. Like the one that I'm thinking of is called the like you can get like different pedals like called Eventides or the Strymon Big Sky, where it basically has a computer inside of it where you can like save all your presets so you don't have to do a bunch of knob twitching. But the nature of our music is like I need to be ready to play in like 5 seconds. Sometimes I play songs straight into other songs, and it's like I'm not really biffing to change that much, more so than what I'm playing. And a lot of my tone is achieved through me just riding the volume knob on my guitar. Because I learned that just from like old school guitarists who would only play guitar with like one pedal, or like even before pedals were a thing. Like in the 60s and the 70s, before like most guitars were even using pedals. Most guitars were just using like 100-watt amps cranked and just using the volume knob to make it like a clean tone, even though it's really not clean. But like I take that philosophy because it gives me a lot more control, and it also gives me a lot more just like freedom to play, more so than to fuck around with my knobs, because I'm not playing shoegaze anymore, sadly. So I'm not just gonna be like pedals, knobs. Like especially I have to pay attention to them. Like if you notice, like I'm usually looking at them when I'm playing at this point. I mean, my eyes are either closed, I'm looking at my fretboard, or most of the time I'm looking at him. I used to be looking at him all the time, Martin. Martin looks at me when we play, and then I usually look at Langston when we play, and I'll like kind of survey around. So I don't want to be like looking at my pedals and stuff. I pretty much set them so that I can get a good sound out of it, and I can do volume knob, tone knob stuff from there, and also just playing intensity. But we haven't been practicing that much, so I'm not the best right now, in my opinion. Songs sound good though, so it's functional. Y'all think it sounds good, so that's what it is.
It does sound good. And just for any of our listeners, shoegaze is kind of music where, I mean, it was named because everyone would just be looking down at their own pedals. There was just a lot of sound, a lot of reverb, but that's not what you guys play. I mean, you play something that's very much, it's visceral, and it has a lot of, something I was just saying, it has a lot of starts and stops. So you guys are very tight. I mean, where did that come from? Like, where did that tightness, where did you build that? And, you know, do you remember a time when you were, when it wasn't so tight?
Yeah, definitely remember a time when we weren't tight. But what made us tight is straight up power, like wanting to dominate on stage. I mean, for me personally, wanting to dominate on stage and leave everybody satisfied, you know, for why they came. You know, if we start on time and stop on time, then we did what we set out to do, in my opinion.
For the record, I don't really think we're that tight. But we can improve a lot. We can improve a lot.
I agree. We're tighter than we used to be, which is like a lot in and of itself. But we also don't practice because we're all in different places. So it's like what you're hearing right now is us playing together after how many months of not practicing for real? But I'm talking about consistent practice, like more like a year, right? We haven't consistently practiced together for like almost a year. So it's like all this music that we're playing is literally just off the strength of our memory and off the strength of the fact that we've been playing these songs for like 3-4 years at this point and literally feeling it. Cause like we be fucking up, but the songs start and finish. Yeah.
Power, baby.
All right, with that, we're gonna play a couple more songs, right?
We can play 4?
Yeah, play as many. Play as many.
No, 4 is a song. So like one thing, I like the working titles better than all the real titles of the songs. So that's just me.
All right, we might come back for another couple interviews in just a bit, but that is WKCR 89.9 FM New York, WKCR HD, getting ready for some more Frederik's Dead.
Frederik's Dead, back again, playing 4. It's unreleased, like most of our songs. Just still close, a mess to be made, you just wouldn't play. I guess this metal is faded, the metal will rust, the end is the same. Look around you, nigga, ain't shit changed. 90 on the dash, what the whip say, penny for a pound or a zip plate, with me you get zip safe. I and idol, I'm Lord of the Spiteful, my palms on that motherfucking Bible. The great temptation I've been at, pretty end with skin black, it's pitch. Swam through the tar, lungs been black. Give me feelings, I can show you every way to skin that. Powerful black men, reminding me of when crack men. White devils covered in black skin, Kool-Aid and cracklers, thinking what the blacks been. Leave north, I'm stretched on a rack, you don't deserve that skin. Nigga, strip the flesh from you, you can't plan out of that. Them white bones gleaming on a fire, burning black. And you got to the top, try to retire in a black. Make the children watch your skin melt, I promise ain't no idolizing that. The fuck back, shake 'em for the fun, shake 'em for the fun, shake 'em till his gums black. Can't shake the father if you fail with the sun black. The stars or the president who won that. And told his mama she gon' love that. We took her there, had to ask, oh yeah, where the gloves at? We took her here, nails facing, ask where the love at. Then Dave saying them gloves back, motherfucking hammer, couldn't touch that, now touch this, them bone chips in his mailbox, like a nut rag, and thicker than that blood bag, who purged you the sins
of the father, get the motherfucking son back. Amen on a magnolia, rolling on past. This chick can turn the blood bath from fun fast. There's no escape, baby. Gotta make a fun laugh. Can't laugh after the fun pass. Cause the fun pass. What you get for trying to represent a one pass? Smoke like a motherfucking blunt cat. Spit fly. All you hear is vagabonds and sick cry. At the body standing. Looking down for that one pass. When I swing, it's a rough dead. That mic loud enough to make the buck ass. Make a man cluck, be a cluck, the fuck ass. Clock tick, got the block slick, life come back. Push me to the edge where I live. Back in Wichita, bitch, that ain't me to give. Push me to the edge where I live. Back in Wichita, bitch, beg me to give. Go, when it's over, I don't say a word when I'm sober. Tap in, 2 shots, tap out. Niggas will run up and let 2 in. When I get chicken with his head off, no hands off on his wings, don't miss it. Keep on twitching for like 3 more minutes. You don't know when it's over, I don't say a word when I'm sober, I'm backed out. 2 shots, tap out. The guns was flapping, he napping now. Niggas will run up and let 2 off. When I get chicken with his head off. Brothers make time patient. As I'm thinking, I say life for Jason and time is waiting. Mastermind, all this shit. We'll talk to your girls, who's back there, so she can. God run from his prophet, the prophet run from his coffin. Most of me eyes, we blast his face. Most of the plays, we gag from the taste. Cackle the rain, we measure the price. Shock of the chains, guys in the game. Drag dodger, here's staying on the drag dodger. So drag dodger. Up at the road, gag obvious. Niggas still had hostages. All scores with the gas off of me. Nobody just for the weary of the weak. Wise come for the fear of the bleak. No need for the kings and the shackles to escape from the stream. And my eyes still weak. You don't know when it's over. I was here when I'm sober, I'm backed out. Tap in 2 shots, tap out. Guns was flat when he napping now. So run up like 2 off. Run like a chicken with his head off. Fucking ass all on his wings, don't miss it. Won't choose it for like 3 more minutes. it's over. You gon' know when it's over. You gon' know when it's over. You gon' know when it's over. But don't speak to me. Don't speak in my presence. We ain't possible, brother. No bonfire for the presence. Pick one. Your eyes to the glory, your eyes to the heavens. Oh, your neck gon' rise on level. Don't respect me, you talk to your brother. Don't speak to me. Don't speak in my presence. We ain't birds of a feather. That's why I'm fire to the desert. Pick one. Your eyes to the glory, your eyes to the motherfucking heavens. Oh, your neck gon' rise on level. Don't respect when you talk to your brother. night over. I'll fuck you one more time, I hit my quota. With some old sommeliers, yo bitch been sampled. This thing longer than a whip band. And she gon' feel both for the night over. I'll fuck you one more time, I hit my quota. With some old sommeliers, yo bitch been sampled. Fine print in your bitch ransom. She still want access to the witch manor. Big hammer, crack your bitch hammer. Betty Moore gave her 6 tours, it's a quick cancer. Look, I'm trying to make it to the end. So I hope you can forgive if I stay for 30 minutes when I said I had to piss. It's been 27 trying to breathe. I'm not fine. Eyes on stop sign. No, I'm not high. We can fix that. Spent 10, made 6 back. And I own 5. I can't take that. So I'ma take that shit. I'ma take that shit. Don't shit count unless I want it. I'll blow cash cause I can, and then take cash cause I can, and I know it. Fuck the consequences. If I did that shit, I'd stand by it. I'll stand by it. I'll stand on it. Put my stamp on it. It is what it is. Laying niggas in prison. Free up till he free the same nigga. We gon' die about it. Open around his neck, he can't die about it. Now pray for it. No guarantee you in it cause you ain't for it. You think it ain't important. I bet somebody make you pay for it. I'm no hole in the pit. It's hard to forget, and it's hard to forgive. Tied to the anchors on the bridge, breathing water like I know how to breathe. Can't keep swimming, room full of bodies, but I can't spin with them. Sorry for being anti. Sorry for being anti-social, for not being social. Lost the ability to be hopeful. Hollow with the black opal. Everything makes it worse. That gift still close with the symptoms. Rocking the minute and get dimension. I can get away, and a lot of my business business. Way all over the winners. It ain't what it is, and you know that. Blow back. You in the past like a throwback. Young nigga work for the pro-life. Now you pro-life. Like leaving with your glow crack. It ain't what it is, and you know that. Blow back. You in the past like a throwback. Now you work for the pro-life. Like leaving with your glow crack. Problems that made you neglect to mention. I get the race on a lot of unfinished business. Spray all over the winners. It ain't what it is, and you know that. Blow back. You in the past like a throwback. Y'all nigga work for the pro last. Now you pro last. My God, hit it with your glow crack. With some old Somalia, yo bitch been said. Dick longer than a whip handle. She gon' feel both for the night over. I'll fuck me one more time, I hit my quota. So I hope you can forgive if I stay for 30 minutes when I said I had a piss. I spent 27 trying to breathe. I'm not fine. Eyes on stop sign. No, I'm not high. We gon' fix that. Spent 10, made 6 back. And I own 5. I can't take that. So I'ma take that shit. Don't shit count unless I want it. I'll blow cash cause I can. And then take cash cause I can. And I know it. And fuck the consequences. If I did that shit. If I did that shit, I'll stand by it. I'll stand on it. Put my stamp on it. It is what it is. Laying niggas in prison. Free them till he free the this ain't ending. My niggas die about it. Rope around my neck, I can't die about it. Now pray for it. No guarantee you hit it cause you aim for it. You think it ain't important. Spray the block when the ops score. I bet somebody make you pay for it. I'm the hole in the pit. It's hard to forget and it's harder to forgive. I'm tied to the anchors on the bridge. Breathe water like I know how to bend. Can't keep swimming. Room full of bodies but I can't speak with them. Sorry for being anti. Sorry for being anti-social. For not being social. I lost the ability to be hopeful. Like Howard with the black opal. Everything makes it worse. My gift still cursed with the symptoms. Problems that many neglect to mention. I did the race on a lot of unfinished business. Spray all over the winners. It ain't what it is and you know it. It ain't what it is and you... Look, I'm trying to make it to the end. So I hope you can forgive if I stay for 30 minutes when I said I had to piss. I spent 27 trying to breathe. I'm not fine. Eyes on stop sign. No, I'm not high. We can fix that. Spent 10, made 6 pack, and I owe 5. I can't take that, so I'ma take that shit. I'm trying to make it to the end. So I hope you can forgive if I stay for 30 minutes when I said I had to piss. I spent 27 trying to breathe. I'm not fine. My eyes on stop sign. No, I am not high. But we can fix that. Trying to make it to the end. So I hope you can forgive if I stay for 30 minutes when I said I had to piss. Spent 27 trying to breathe. I'm not fine. My eyes on stop sign. No, I'm not high. We can fix that. I spent 10 and made 6 back, but I owe 5. I can't take that, so I'ma take that shit. I'll stand on it, put my stamp on it. I'm tied to the anchors on the bridge, breathing water like I know how to bend. Can't keep swimming, room full of bodies, but I can't speak with them. Sorry for being anti. Sorry for being anti-social, for not being social. Lost the ability to be hopeful. Howard with the black opal. Everything makes it worse. Gifts still cursed with the symptoms. Problems that many neglect to mention. I did the race on a lot of unfinished business. Spray all over the winners. It ain't what it is, and you know that. Blow back. You in the past like a throwback. Glock leave you with your globe crack. I'm trying to make it to the end.
All right, this is WKCR 89.9 FM New York. We are here with just about the end of our first live broadcast in over 3 years since COVID-19. We've had a great premiere back of our live sets with Frederik's Dead. We've learned, of course, that Frederik's Dead is both the possessive and the apostrophe S. Anyway, so I'm here with Swan, who's the vocalist of the band, and reading interviews with you, you've mentioned before that there is some sort of link between hip hop and metal in the way that you make your music. Would you consider yourself a rapper when you're working with Frederik's Dead?
In the context of Frederik's Dead, no. I generally refer to myself as a vocalist. I think that's kind of the same thing with like the genre question, where we're in the experimental category, I think, first and foremost, and then everything else is like, oh, this song kind of sounds like this genre, but like us as a band, I think we stray into our influences more. But I don't think the label rapper is necessarily a bad thing. I think that's probably like my go-to. I wouldn't say I'm the most comfortable singer, but like I try my best, Everyone can scream. Yeah. I think the lyricism is like my strong point, and to me, that comes from rap, like rhythm and poetry. Yeah, that's where it comes from.
I wanted to ask you, on your ear, you have Prince's logo, the genderless logo. I mean, what does he mean anything to you in terms of the music that you make? What is Prince to you?
I love Prince. I think like it's funny because this is literally a symbol, but like the symbol of what he stands for is just crazy to me, and like breaking so many boundaries. The genderless symbol is also like I find really interesting, and yeah, just boundary breaking and like always being a pioneer and true to self at like all costs, especially like the concrete ownership of his music and like the way that he dipped into so many genres. I'm a fan. Prince and Young Thug. Don't think that's a hot take comparison, but you may disagree. Oh shit, yeah. I forgot about that.
That's his lyric.
Oh, yeah, no, like, and I kind of forgot, but when the pandemic started, I purchased a pair of heeled boots, 5.5-inch heels, and so, like, for our first shows coming back, I would always perform in that, and I got a lot of, like, questions about the boots, and, like, to me, it doesn't really mean anything. Like, I don't think about gender when I wear clothing, and my grandparents were like, are you gonna perform in those? And I was like, yeah, like, yeah, why not? Like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this all the way, you know, like, yeah, and like the idea that I can say things that are just as masculine and dominant, which is like a point that you raised earlier, in 6-inch heels, and mean every word of it, and like I think it's great. I think it's freeing. Yeah.
Nice. So I've also been wanting to talk to Langston, who's the bassist. When we were putting together this production, I asked all the band members to send me their greatest musical influences, and Langston sent Muddy Waters, and I'm gonna forget right now, but the composer of South by Southwest, which he'll have to remind me of. I'm interested, like, how does that sort of fit in?
Well, the other person you're thinking about is Jerry Reed. Those musicians, Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Jerry Reed, Johnny Cash, simple players. They all play simple things, and that's how I learned bass. Like simple things like Johnny Cash, boom, 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 boom. That's how I learned bass. And songs like Ditches Deeper. It's just in my head. It's bum, 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 bum. It's E and A in my head. But artists like those, you know, my mom grew me up on Johnny Cash and James Brown and stuff like that. And so over the years, my blues knowledge has increased and increased. And blues sound really simple, but it's some of the heaviest, most powerful stuff on the planet. IMO. Yeah, it's dumb hard to replicate. You can do it, but you ain't gonna do it good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you guys sing about or play music about sad things. would you say that you're ever working through the blues in that?
Like working through the blues. I mean, the song our guitarist and our vocalist is gonna do for you next. I don't consider it a blues song, but it's blues. You know, it'll pour your soul out and turn you out. You know, blues doesn't have to be bun 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 bun. You know. Blues can be anything that moves you, you know. As long as it moves you, it's got the blues.
All right, so with Justin, guitarist, I'm very interested to know, you know, when you're playing the guitar, something that I've noticed is, I mean, you shred, and I don't know, shred, which is, I guess you play a lot of like fast arpeggiated notes, right? You play a lot of fast stuff. Is there a place that comes from? Are there influences that you're specifically thinking of when you do that? You know, where did you discover this kind of style of guitar playing, I guess?
That's like 3 different places.
Okay, fair enough. Here, wait, so think about it while I wrap the mic around the side of this.
It's like, so I first discovered shredding. I don't really think I shred. I mean, people tell me I do. I don't think I'm technically that great at guitar. Like, I'm okay. I can get out my ideas, but there's still things that I hear that I can't play 'cause I don't practice enough. And I've gotten into so many different other genres of music that it's just like I have my hands in hella shit, and it's like I really want to come back to guitar and like actually learn how to shred and like to be able to play like an acoustic guitar and still shred, 'cause like it's hard, it's challenging. But when I first discovered, I guess what most people think about is shredding, it's like 80s thrash metal, like Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, like fucking Sepultura, and like virtuoso guitarists like Marty Friedman, and like not really Kirk Hammett. I never really learned no Kirk Hammett solos because my man just be overusing the wah in my opinion. But like also players that are not metal players who shred, like, and also guitar players who influenced me pretty significantly, like Jay Mascis from Dinosaur Jr., John Frusciante from Chili Peppers, Hendrix to a degree. Like I'm not the biggest Hendrix stan in terms of knowing how to play all his shit on guitar, but I've studied him a lot. And also just like I'm trying to think who else guitarist wise. I've also been influenced by people who aren't guitarists. One of my big influences is this dude. His name is Alice Cisneros. Have you ever heard of Sleep? Or have you ever heard? Yeah, he's the bassist in Sleep. So he's influenced a lot of people, and one of those people is me for sure. Just like in terms of tone, and also in terms of how to take the same riff and vary it in like endless ways, but you're still basically playing similar riffs in a similar box of notes. But you're just manipulating the rhythm and the timing of the hits and the how long you're letting certain notes ring, and if you're playing like single notes, dyads, triads, and shit like that, like very stripped down playing. And then all around the other end, I was literally watching some fucking Guthrie Govan videos of like one of the best living guitarists of all time. Shit, I cannot play for the life of me, bro. Like at least not yet. I'm gonna put back in the time. And like people like Eric Johnson, like Stevie Ray Vaughan, but also guitarists who kind of suck, like low-key Jay Mascis. Like Jay Mascis, he can't necessarily shred with technique, but the way he gets his emotion out in guitar and also his chord vocabulary is really dexterous, if I could use that word. He's not like, you would look at him and be like, damn, this kind of sounds like ass. But if you try to play some shit that he plays, it's really hard because his chord voicings are like crazy. And that's inspired me a lot. And also like more modern guitarists like this dude, his name is Rabia Masad. He's like a YouTuber. And this other dude named Rob Chapman. Like I've been watching some of their videos recently. They're shredders, I would say, but they also just go way outside the box of what that term means. Because most people, like, when they think of the term shred, they're thinking like 80s hair metal, guitar solo, verse, chorus, guitar solo, chorus, another guitar solo, end of song. Like that's what most people are thinking of when they think of shred guitar. I guess like Yngwie Malmsteen and like shit like that. Like, yeah, and it's just like it's very interesting. But I've taken stuff from those guitars. I haven't practiced enough to be able to like play what they play. I kind of just had to figure out like, hey, how can I make shit that sounds like that with my limited technical ability, and also like put my emotions into it. Because I've also like learned how to take the least amount of notes possible and like feel something from it. Because for a long time I was playing guitar and I was chasing technique without knowing how a certain song made me feel. And like I was writing music that I didn't know how to describe, which is not necessarily the worst thing, but I like view music as a definite like strong component of my like personal spiritual and emotional journey. And to be able to like know myself through the music that I'm playing and through the music that I learn from other people is like something that's really important to me. And going into other genres of music, like I'm saying, like producing, DJing, engineering, like playing other instruments that aren't guitar, making music that has nothing guitar related in it, has helped me to like come back to guitar and like have like not only a refreshed ear, but kind of like a more open heart, if that makes sense. Just because I'm now taking inspiration from people who aren't guitarists and learning how to play like keyboard lines or like saxophone lines and shit like that, like whenever I have the time to. But was there another question?
No, I think that's
okay.
No, I mean, I like that you point out that you're influenced by a bassist, because
Yeah.
I feel like you and Langston are very close together in the way that you're playing. Your sound is very deep and has that kind of basic quality. So okay, wait, to turn to Mart, who's the drummer of the group. one thing I know about you is that you work on art. You're a physical artist, right? And I'm interested because I've seen furniture that you've made, which is fascinating, right? Yeah. So fascinating. Does that at all play into any of the way you think about music? I mean, the way you think about sitting down at the drums.
Totally. I don't know if I would consider myself an artist, too much more of a maker, and I like making furniture, and I've made some drums, so that's totally been a big connection between those two aspects of my experience. And you definitely learn a lot about the instrument when you make it, and it's and then you know how to repair it, you know how to get whatever sound out of it that you want. So that's the connection.
Do you play in concerts on instruments that you've made?
Yeah, the last time we were at Columbia, I used the snare drum that I made, and maybe also the kick drum. I forget.
Yeah, you did.
I think I brought both.
Wow. So like, I mean, you know, what does that add? What is it? Why not? I mean, you know, DIY is cool, but why not just use a snare? You know what I mean? What is special about it?
Weird tones, mostly. Getting stuff that you can't find out of something you buy at a Guitar Center.
Yeah. Please. This is Langston, the bassist.
Like when Mark came in and brought his kick drum, I was stunned and surprised because the thing was fucking huge, and then he put his foot to it and the sound was fucking huge, and I'm like, dude, go do more, make a whole fucking kit. And you know, he does a lot of our art too, and so. You know, the stuff you see on shirts, I'm not wearing a shirt, stuff you see on our shirts, you know, our promo, our art, that's a lot Martin and a Swan, you know. So those guys with the art and like most of the time what they do, the art is the first thing you'll see if you don't hear our music. Yeah, for real. So, you know, so big.
Can you repeat what he said?
Yeah, if what'd you say? Yeah, it's the first thing you see, but it's the last thing, you know, that we do. And big props and shout outs, because like we don't talk about the art that much, you know. We talk a lot through our music, but you know, the art is a whole other different thing. We'll bicker and argue about art all day like we do the music, but we just don't ever talk about it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that brings me to Swan again, in that you not to reveal anything about you, but you are like an architect. You know, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, does that play into your musical work at all? Do you think?
I think of architecture as like an art. It's kind of like an intersection between art and science. And for me, like a lot of my art is a way to express the experience of blackness, which I think is really hard to capture in one medium. So like my last architecture project, it was supposed to be a satellite site for the Apollo Theater and like an archive of black history. And what I chose to do was present like lynchings and the history of that through an actual like literal lynching. I mean, not an actual person, obviously, but like no abstraction, like removing that veil of, oh, like this happened in the past, we don't really talk about it because it's awful. Like that veil of abstraction that we put on a lot of black history, I think prevents from seeing the real horror of that experience. And so like a lot of my life has been like traumatizing, and I think expressing that, like I express it through visual art, I've expressed it through architecture, I've expressed it through music, like written poetry, lyrics, essays, like tattoos, all of that sort of thing. And so like architecture as a medium for me is a lot about thinking like, what is the best way to express everything I'm feeling? And like, since I can't only do it through music, and I can't only do it through writing, and I can't only do it through art, Like, where can I put all of this together, put it in someone's face, and make them look at all of it, and make them hear it, and make them not understand, but be forced to listen. And so, like, designing a building for an exhibition is, like, to me, kind of the culmination of all art. Because it's like, when your art is in a museum, you didn't build that museum. You didn't pick the white box that your gallery that you're shown in. Like, it's like a white cube with white walls, and then your art is right there, and, you know, whoever comes in sees it. That's not really you. Like, they picked you, they selected you. And so I feel like if you design the building, you get exactly what you want out of it. Which was like what Martin is saying. Like, when you make the drum, you make it personal. Like, it can't not be personal because you crafted it with your own hands. Whatever sound you get out of it is something that you made, and I feel like the same thing is with the building.
Maybe this is something that anyone could answer, but then what would the best venue for a Frederik's Dead concert be?
That's a really good question. I don't think any of us have a real answer for that. Because I think the answer that me and Swan have said, because I know me and you have talked about it before, it doesn't exist.
I mean, honestly, this recording studio, this radio station's pretty great.
WKCR.
WKCR.
Okay, what's great about
This is like similar to the size of our practice room, so it just gives a similar vibe of like, yo, we're right the fuck in front of each other, and also he can hear. That's why he said that, because he can hear everything.
Who can hear everything?
Martin, he has a very almost 90% precision history of not being able to hear at shows, like not being able to hear shit, and then he's just staring at my fingers, and he's just like, where am I in the song? It just be like that.
This is not necessarily a concrete answer, but I think the best venue for us is something intimate. Like, I don't think, even if we were to get huge, I don't ever think a stadium or an arena would be the right place to play this music. Like, I would only want to play small venues. I want everyone to be able to see us all at once. I want people to be able to touch us. Like, not necessarily a panopticon, but I do like when we've played, like, surrounded by people, you know, like, I feel like that kind of claustrophobia comes through, and like the idea of audience interaction is really important. So even not necessarily having to have a stage is cool, like a room, a pit, all great options. And I think the best venues we've played have been house shows and like DIY venues where someone made it, you know, like someone created this space. It's not sanitized. It's not like a stage where you could have an orchestra there too. Like, I don't know if I really want that. Yeah.
That's interesting, because like I was saying,
To tag along to what they were saying, intimacy. Like, as I said earlier, I was talking about starting and stopping. When we start and when we stop, you know, it's power. And when we look at the audience, when we play in front of the audience, you know, that's power. And so we're putting power out. We want power back in. Me personally, I want power back in from the audience. And that's just intimacy. That's just community, you know, for me personally. Perfect venue, community, like intimacy, you know, like, everybody coming to do what they need to do, you know. Yeah, emotional release. Like Swan said, we're not coming out to hide or cower or anything like that. Like, me personally, I hate social interaction. So, like, coming out on stage is like the only time I'm like not being myself, but being myself, you know, being outside of my shell, you know, like meeting, talking to new people, because I won't do it on myself. I'll be inside all day, you know. But having that intimacy, that power with people, it's great.
I was saying, okay, so I agree with the intimacy, and I think part of why I said the perfect venue doesn't exist is because literally, like, the venues that we've played at that we really like don't exist anymore. So it's like anything that I would really compare it to that actually is tangibly a thing is not a thing anymore, for real. A lot of these house shows that we played don't play shows no more. Shows that me and Martin have played, like back in Norfolk, like there was this one place that we really loved called The Fort, and it was literally a storage unit. and that shit was literally like the size of this room, maybe like a little longer. And like 70 people would be in that bitch. 70 people would be in, and like 20 people would be outside, like in the door, like, and just watching. Like that shit's fire, bro. But like places like that don't exist anymore. Places like that stopped existing in like 2017, 2018, like way pre-pandemic. Hella venues that I've played at personally don't even exist no more. Yeah, the pandemic just exaggerated it, but it was already like fucked up at a certain point in time, and like people just weren't able to have these spaces. And there's this one, okay, so I really like this band called Toe. It's a Japanese math rock band, like one of the like originators of like the sparkly, twinkly math rock sound, but also really rhythmically locked in. Different story. But like they have this one concert of them playing somewhere in Japan in 2005, and it's like a pit, but it's like the stage, there is no stage, it's literally just a gate that's in like a semicircle, and like everybody is around them and they're all facing each other. I would love to play in a place like that. I feel like that place would be a really good place for our type of music, and also just for the way that we interact, and also for him hearing. Like literally no funny shit like that. Like it would be a lot better, because I feel like the way that that venues are, at least in America, it's very like, oh, stage crowd, but it's like, nah, that's not really like.
If it works, don't fix it.
Yeah, but it's like a lot of the times it doesn't work, cause like for one, sound be shitty at places, PAs be shitty on their own. Then on top of PAs being shitty, the sound techs are shitty. Then on top of the sound techs being shitty, people's gear is low key shitty, including mine low key. Like I'm not excluding myself from anything that I'm saying, by the way. We're not perfect. I'm doing the best with what I have, and so are other people. But at the same time, so when everything comes together in most venues that I've played at, it doesn't even really sound that good. Like it doesn't even sound that good acoustically, like to begin with. So it's like a lot of the places just you're set up for some shit to not sound right, and for it just to kind of sound like this, I guess, like washing sound. Even if you're not playing a genre like shoegaze, because sometimes we're playing very clean, articulate music for our standards, and it still can get lost in a room. Sure. And it's just like, it's interesting, because that has a lot to do with like all those factors that I just said. So that's why I said originally like the perfect venue doesn't really exist, because the standards that I would at least have for a venue, it wouldn't be necessarily like super duper high. It would just be really particular, and it would be really, honestly, minimalistic. Like I wouldn't have a huge ass PA. I wouldn't have like a whole bunch of space. I wouldn't have a high ass ceiling. I wouldn't have like concrete floors or concrete walls. Like I would like to play in like a fucking like wooden something like dead ass, bro. Because the best recording studios in the world are like houses that have been converted into recording studios or apartments and lofts and shit. That's literally what Abbey Road is. Abbey Road is literally like, it's like a house on the inside, bro. And that shit is literally big ass. It has huge ceilings, but the way that it's built, it's like everything's wood paneled and they have rugs and shit in there. I would like to play in something like that already just has an acoustic quality of like, yo, my voice sounds good in here. Like I feel like that should be like the, I don't know, I'm rambling. That's why I said that.
You sure? Yeah, so I'd like to reiterate that Frederik's Dead's been playing for us in what we call Moo Aquarium, because there's cows, and then if you close that door over there, there's fish. So this is a famous room in WKCR studios with painted cows and fish. So it's called Moo Aquarium. This is the studio that you've been playing in. And this studio, if, our bassist and our guitarist were to lock arms, they could probably reach from one end to the other end of this studio. Yeah, exactly. And they have long arms too. And so it's not a big place, but they've been able to stack what is in front of me, a number of amps that is about my height. I'm like 6'2", and this is about me. And then there's 3 amps on the other side, amps all over the place. So they're sounding just gigantic in a small space. So we're very appreciative of that. We are about to play their last song. I want to ask just a final question, which is this. We're we're very, very happy to have you on WKCR, which is, we're very proud of our history and our tradition. We're very much related to the jazz scene in the 60s, sort of bringing back the history of jazz. What, in a station that honestly focuses mostly on jazz music, on American bluegrass, sometimes on some new electronica music. In fact, this slot right now is an opera slot that you guys are in. Usually, this is an opera slot. What do you make of sort of stepping into this space and getting the opportunity to play your own sound?
I can literally say one statement. The originators of all those genres of music look like us. Not to say that everyone that has progressed those genres isn't valid, and that who don't look like us are like not important at all, because they are. But the originators, but the originators of literally all those genres that you said, literally down even to opera, is brown people, brown and black people. So it's like, that's what I think. I think that it's cool to have a band like us doing some music that we're doing that's very different, that is rooted in those things, but not at all sounding like any of it. Because at the time of them originating some shit, nothing sounded like it. And people didn't like it at first. Like, literally when jazz first came out, people was not fucking with jazz. They was not fucking with jazz, bro. Like, they were like, bro, this is the devil's music, literally. Like, I guess so.
Can you say that just 1 second, please? I'll let you use it.
I said this is the devil's music, I think. Like, a lot of Satanism versus the church, and like, especially in the terms of Augustine, who thinks that like the worst sin is like trusting in humankind over the will of God. And I feel like this is so intensely personal, and I only care about what we have to say when we make music for the most part. Like, it's us, and it should be us, and it should be like the deepest, darkest parts of ourselves. And Langston was kind of saying earlier that he feels like this is when he's himself, like being on stage. And I agree with that. Like, so much of the shit that I'm saying is like things that I would never say in conversation with my closest family members. And like a lot of the lyrics, like, you can't tell your therapist that, or you're gonna end up in a psych ward. Like, you're gonna get committed involuntarily. But through music, it's art, it's like, it's a metaphor. It's like, I'm speaking for other people. But yeah, I think that's important. And like, stepping into a space like this and just being us is something that you can't get anywhere else, because it's us. And that's kind of the point. Like, this music is supposed to be intense and personal and intimate, and it's not something that you can recreate. It's not meant to be poppy. It's not meant to be easily accessible necessarily, but it's us. And like Justin said, this music comes from us. Like, it comes from people that look like us. It comes from people that share in a lot of our experiences, because not all that much has changed when it comes to this country and the way laws are still based on slavery. And that's why we have the Electoral College. Things like that.
I think spaces like this, especially like what you guys do. You guys are a student radio now. Like, I don't want to say power to the people, but power to the people. Like, young folks, like, we're disconnected. We're connected, but we're disconnected on a whole bunch. And like, I really hope the people that are listening are really taking in what we have to say. Not because we're saying it, but because we got to grow up with you, And, we're raw, unfiltered. We're not here to be pretty, polished, Okay, Swan's here to be pretty, but, Martin too. We're all kind of pretty. Spaces like these, they just open up so much opportunity, and like, meeting people like you, like, if we didn't come up here, we wouldn't have this opportunity. And like, I don't know. Great. Yeah, this means a hell of a lot.
It's like 2 or more. We are not stopping. This is literally just the beginning. We're all so young too. Y'all are all so young. Like, bro, it's Gen Zers come together, love each other. That's really, yeah. But nah, bro, like, this shit is literally just the beginning. And it's very nice and profound in a lot of ways, even just to, like, be here. And to, like, have driven up from Virginia to play all these shows and just, like, have experiences and just, like I said, we haven't really practiced, but we're playing. And it's fun. That's the best part of it, bro. It's fun. It's tangled already, man. What you gonna do about it? You wanna do that?
Cool. So, thank you guys for coming here. I guess the final thing I'd like to ask is, what is coming up for Frederik's Dead? Are there any other projects? I know Swan has this Samsara Care thing. But what, I mean, if you want to just plug anything, please, to our artists. We're gonna go. We'll go in a circle. We'll go in a circle. Come on.
All right. So basically, I'm starting like a creative company, creative studio, design firm, whatever. Just as an outlet for all the things that, like, it's just me, and we all have different tastes aesthetically, musically. And so sometimes, like, we would have disagreements about art, like we were talking about earlier, because for the last couple years I've been doing, like, all of the art. And sometimes you take it personal when you make something and people don't like it. But it wasn't necessarily a collaborative process. Like, if I'm making something and then presenting it to the band, it's not really something that we came up with as a band. So, like, I think that's fair. And so for me, it's been an outlet to just make all the things that I want to make that don't necessarily be in a band context. So I'm doing, like, a lot of digital art, 3D modeling, I don't know, arranging, like, I guess fine art, but whatever. And then I'm also putting out a solo rap album, Many Paths to the Same End, with one of my friends. He produced the entirety of it. We collaborated on some of it, but that's about death, like most of my music. But Many Paths to the Same End, you get where we're going for it. We have shirts, we sell merch, we have a website, frederiksdead.com.
How do you spell Frederick?
No C, FREDERIKSDEAD.com. Frederik's Dead, no C. Blame the Danish, not us. Yeah, we sell merch, we sell posters, we have buttons. I'm gonna do hats. We do tattoos, honestly. like we do everything. I think, yeah, we're more than just a band at this point. And so, album coming out early 2023. Let the World Die.
I don't need to plug that on the radio. Here you go.
Bro, I got to plug. Can I plug Martin and Femi? What's y'all's project called? Okay, Martin be doing hella music with Femi and his friend Hank. This shit is good, bro. Techno noise music. It's very cool. Yeah, man. And then for me, shit, I got collaboration with a Swan on Samsara stuff. Collaboration with my man Kobe Wiggins back home in Norfolk. I have my own completely solo music. I DJ. I play other instruments. I might start getting into tattooing. I don't know. But I got a YouTube channel. I'm just joking. I got a Justice Seeker on Instagram. And on Instagram, I got my link tree. So I just got hella links to all a bunch of stuff. Started the YouTube channel. About to, like, have a lot more stuff. I got interviews up. I got, like, different projects that I've done, different collaborations. So, yeah, it's cool.
Me personally, I ain't got nothing going on. Yeah, for I've been trying to scrounge up to do a blues album for the past couple years, and that's probably gonna come to fruition relatively soon. So maybe looking out for that. Yeah, living life. We are Frederik's Dead.
Thank you. Thank you, Frederik's Dead. All right. This is WKCR 89.9 FM New York, WKCR HD. We are so happy to have you guys. It's been such a pleasure. And, yeah, I think we're going to get one more song out of you guys, right?
What he said before his heart stopped. The heroin make the pain stop. Death make the scars stop. The sand fall like rain through the rocks. Spend his whole life climbing just to fall to the blade at the top. Penny for your life, a grenade for your crops. Live on through a new red glaze on the stock. The child of the slum, sunbathed in the rot. Smell death from the bays and the waves on the dock. Wave to the man spreading haze on a block. The name tag, just another page in the plot. The white face, just another phase in the plot. Soldiers, just another cage with a lock. The AK hidden from the gaze, it was hot. Face painted as if for play, it was not. The blessing of the sun rays blaze with the shots. Cave in, black boots came, making a lot. Feet absorb the dark red paste on the socks. Never question the scent the spice made in the pot. Fulfillment of the praise that he gave to Allah. But it wasn't blessings, it came from the effort, they came from the dogs, they came from the hurt, they came from the horror, they came from the mud, they bathed in the blood of their own brothers. Hunger replaced the things that you stole from them. Slim fingers make the pockets even with his own cunning just to own something. Long since gave up on his hope coming. Only in death will he see homecoming. And on the other side he feel cold coming. Hail to the child of the sands with the gold lungs. Hail to the child who had dreamt of his own son. Hail to the mother who had wept for her own son. Hail to the father too afraid to hold his own gun. Hail to the soldier who saw his body fall, was reminded of his own son. Visions of its death at the hands of his own gun. And the innocence he stole from him at the orders of the faceless who invaded just to own something. Insulated, never seen his own slums. Or fired off his own guns, or made change with his own funds. That smile fall fast when a woe comes. That smile fall fast when a woe comes. Sand fall like rain through the rocks. Spent his whole life climbing just to fall to the blade at the top. Can I get the eyes on the man with the answers who speak not? Roach with a badge, I got raid for a beat cop. We don't eat pork, but the pigs on the menu. Can I get the pie by the window? The Sunday Christian don't pray for nobody. The voodoo pen and a pupil, no Bobby. I got more than choice words for a busybody. I promise. Snub nose, pistol make you mind your own business. Snub nose will make you pen your last wishes. Last testament, more dead faces than fair waivers. Still more backbreaker than hair breaker. Still more backbreaker than bed breaker. Death now, sex later. No bribes, no special favors. His brains on the floor, said he knew about the caper. Cape Crusader couldn't save him. House that he built, no surprise when it cave in. I'm neither merciful nor amazing. Your man, he was red in the face, now he red on the motherfucking pavement. That small fall fast when a woe comes. That sand fall like rain through the rocks. Spent his whole life climbing just to fall to the blade at the top. A penny for your life, a grenade for your crops. Live on through a new red glaze on the stock. The child of the slum, sunbathed in the rot. Smell death from the bays and the waves on the dock. We wave to the man spreading haze on a block. The name tag, just another page in a plot. The white face, just another phase in a plot. Them soldiers, just another cage for the lock. The AK hidden from the gaze, it was hot. Sand fall like rain through the rocks. Spent his whole life climbing just to fall to the blade at the top. Penny for your life, a grenade for your crops. Live on through a new red glaze on the stock. We're Frederik's Dead from Norfolk, Virginia. Frederik's Dead forever. WKCR 89.9 FM. HD, whatever that means. This has been Frederik's Dead. Thank you. Good night.